All right, guys, we're back with the charger. We got some parts, and I didn't do a lot of filming on this as well. I've been working on this 100 plus degrees the last few days, and didn't think anybody just want to see me sit here and sweat standing here. So as of right now, this is snowballed. I've got the entire interior out of the car and ran some umbilical cords and got rid of a lot of the old wiring fixed. Now everything's working in the car right now. As you can see, the dome lights come on. But we ran an umbilical cord here, fuel pump, ECU, trigger, speaker wires, all that stuff, because we are installing correct speakers. I took out some old house pyramid speakers. Actually, there's still one in here. And putting these 4x6s in. And then we have the power wire and stuff in the original taillight harness that I fixed running back on the other side. The battery is in the trunk now. But we got the ECU mounted up right here. I'm still cleaning a lot of this wiring up. I've taken tons and tons and tons of wiring out of this, as you can see over here. And yeah, it was a mess because when they originally had it wired up, the amp meter must have went bad, and then they were grabbing power from out of the engine bay through the firewall for everything individual, not knowing that you would originally loop the amp black wire and the red wire back together, which feeds up to the alternator back through and then charges the battery. But with the higher amp alternator, I have, well, we'll get into that in a minute. But now we have the original fuse box working. The radio does work. We've got the Dakota Digital box up here. Everything's working now. I still got to wire up this rocking box, and we mounted the transmission controller up there, which I'm still running the wiring for. So I'm in the middle of doing a ton of wiring on this. But everything's working like it should factory wise. As you can see, you know, we got dome lights and all that stuff now. The car didn't have any of that stuff working because of that amp meter deal. And as in for here, we got most of the fuel system ran. We've been waiting on fittings, and the fuel tank that got shipped to the wrong place and is now on its way back. Also figuring out a throttle body, either going with a fast or BBK, but I've also figured out a couple solutions to the throttle cable and kickdown. But we're making sure 100% on it. For the hydraulic, like I said, or not hydraulic, power steering, we got some fittings to 6A on and then used a hydraulic line. I got to clean this up. This was just temporary at the moment. And then this is going because we have a 45-degree adapter coming for over there because they used heater hoses, which these are going to explode. So as I said, for the alternator, we ran a bigger cable because this isn't an old like 40 amp alternator that used to be back in the day, and it would originally fry that amp circuit out. So we have a main big 2-gauge power wire running over to the starter, and then from the starter back to the battery as well. And then we did get the voltage regulator up in the firewall that just ties in a 12-volt switch. And there's our pressure sensor and Y. I'm waiting for a fitting to go from there. As you can see, ran the fuel line up. It's all aluminum line all the way back to the Corvette filter. Yeah, I hate doing this, but it's one of those things like I couldn't film at the same time. So, but we have all the line. I got to put a couple more brackets on it. As you can see, it comes through rubber grommet in the frame. Back here, back around. And then I don't know how well you can see. I probably got to get a different angle. And then we did the Corvette regulator back where you originally had the pump. Let's see if I can get down here. So we're up there. We got a soft line down to the metal line that's up. That, and then we're going to be scooting those over and then to the tank when it gets here finally. So I can't do those lines yet, unfortunately. I would love to. But we're getting on the home stretch here where we might be able to get this thing, well, as soon as the rest of our fuel system shows up and stuff, we should be able to almost get this thing to start. And then I got a wire and horn relay still, which I've got the horn wire coming down here right now, and then we're grabbing power to the relays off of that for that and the fan. Also got the fan shroud started, not 100% yet, but we got a 16-inch spale fan on there, and we'll be cleaning that up and painting it as well, so it'll look a lot better. And then, as I said, for everything working in here, let's see. I should be able to turn the key on. Unfortunately, I don't have the radio. Well, we got the turn signals, as you can see. None of the stuff worked. I've got it all working now because, like I said, I wired that amp meter stuff back together. The Holly's powering up, and I believe when I first got this here, the wiring was so jacked up on it. When I touch stuff on the screen, it would just freeze up. So now it's not freezing up and everything's working. So trying to look at this through the screen while I'm doing it. But yeah, everything's working now. So we're going to dig right into this. As like I said, some parts did show up, so we're going to start making some fuel lines. The Dakota digital thing's turning on. I already plugged the cluster in. Works with the dimmer, all that stuff. Also got a new headlight switch with the vacuum. So this was broken. Yeah. So just trying to get you caught up before we get into this thing a little bit, because like I said, I did a lot off camera, and then we rewired everything in the firewall here. We got the starter signal wires and stuff like that. And then I added a weather pack connector right there. So later on for the Dakota dash, we can grab extra sensors because we can't really share them with the ECU. And we can wire in coolant temp and another oil pressure sensor when I do the when I do the oil filter kit. And so yeah, these 90-degree fittings showed up. I think we're short a couple, but now I should be able to do the line over here and then to there and that stuff, so I can get a little bit farther on this. So let me grab some of the line and stuff like that, and we'll go over to the PTFE lines and the easiest way to do it. All right, we're back. Started making the PTFE lines. One's already made for the front here. So I got the vacuum out and stuff because they ran Teflon on these before. I was getting it all out. So let's go over the PTFE line first. So basically I get one side on and then measure it and then come down, see where I'm going to be with the cap off, and then I mark it with some black tape. But the black tape is a two-part deal. So then I take it back off, yada, yada, yada. If I had somebody to film, I could actually show you. And then I bring it over here on the vise, use this, cuts it nice and clean, and then push it into the end. And then I put the barb in. And when you do it like that, they make a tool to spread the end of the line and put it in there. But once you cut it with that, it kind of spreads it a little bit. So you slide your hose through here. I usually just take one hand and just boonk, and then just put that on and then put the cap on and screw it on. The biggest thing is, as long as you cut it clean, it's going to go together nice and easy for you. But yeah, so they got the Teflon in here, like I said. Clean most of it out with a pick. I'm going to vacuum the rails out now. And unfortunately, I don't know if I can get it all out. Normally, you have a rubber O-ring on here, as you see, because they're ORB fittings. They had NPT pipe thread fittings in it. So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to use some gas oil on it. Use gloves if you use this stuff. It gets all over, and it's like, well, you know, when you use anti-seize, it gets on everything, and then you look like the Tin Man, except you look like the Blue Man after this. Just to be on the safe side, it's the same stuff they use on the gas pumps and stuff like that at your gas station where they put the fittings together. So it is completely resistant to fuel and oil and everything else. So it's just an extra precaution because I don't know if they stretch these threads out too much. I'm not going to take a chance. The same thing on the power steering. When I go back through and tighten it back through, they had some funky fittings and stuff. So yeah, unfortunately I can't. I need all of my hands to do this. And yeah, we'll come right back after I get it done and show you the finished product. All right, I got this fuel system all finished up, well, lines for the most part, and started getting into a few other things. But yeah, the tank finally showed up. Sorry I didn't do it on camera. Like I said, I only have one hand. So this is the Holley Sniper unit. the sending unit and fuel pump. Had to set the levels on this stuff. It's really straightforward, self-explanatory. You measure the depth of the tank and then set your pump and sending unit. So that's all ready to go in the car now, as well as all these lines are done. Finished up this whole deal with the fuel pressure sensor line coming up, hard line to the AN fittings, all around, all that. The lines are just hanging in the back. The only other thing that we had to do with the tank and whatnot was a vent. So I don't know if I can show you very well or not, but there's a check valve, rollover valve vent, and there's the lines that I've just got to hook up to the tank with that Corvette regulator. So we're looking good there. Oh, getting old here. So we got the 45-degree oil filter adapter from Mopar today. That turned into a little bit of a hassle. Yeah, so I ended up having to tap the block again, the rust in it. So if you got an older engine, make sure you tap it with an M6 1.0 tap. But they didn't ship the O-ring with the adapter. So unfortunately, the whole deal of getting in here and getting this in here, I got to move that power wire now and then do a little something with the lower radiator hose. As you can see, it's touching, which I'll figure out. But I had to take the whole engine mount and everything out of the car the way that it was in here to be able to even run those taps up there. I've just got it sitting in here for fitment because I got to put the engine mount back on and lower this down and see if I have to trim any of this lower section. The filter will clear regardless, but yeah, I just got to see how low this is going to come into this on the frame, if it's going to hit or not. But the oil filter is easily accessible now regardless, and we don't have the heater courses running across the car anymore. So I got to climb back under here and get this mount back in and set it down. I want to do all that before the gasket comes in. I had to order it from Dodge. Fortunately, one of the dealerships has it here, but I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow because it's gotten way too late. And they close like now. So that is that. Also got relays for the fuel pump and horns. Got a set of horns for this thing. And also, since I did a bunch off of camera, I started working on the trans controller, stuff like that. Also the reverse light and switches. A few little things that came in, like we got the dome light. The carpet should be here tomorrow, and I can start laying the carpet back in. Put the new headlight switch in. The dash is all wired. I got to pull it back out, wire a couple switches to it so we can go through. The Dakota Digital has like switches for the little screens in there, so you can set the clock and all that stuff. Got the speaker wiring ran through the door jamb instead of just dangling under the dash and across the door, and got the umbilical cord running back here. I also have to run for this new sending unit another ground, so we're going to be mounting the relay back here and then going back through the factory grommet for the power and stuff for the fuel pump and all that. But let me get this oil filter adapter on, or yeah, it's already on, just hand tight really, but get the mount on and see if we've got to do any trimming and stuff like that. So we're starting to look good here. And then I don't know if I went over it, the power steering line is just a hydraulic line and fitting over to that and fitting over there. So then I can get this out of here, and that's going to be awesome. But other than that, we're waiting on a lot of parts. So let me get this mount in and get this engine off of this jack. I don't like leaving the engine on the jack, so I will be right back. All right, I got the tank mounted and the oil filter relocation deal in. It does look like I'm going to have to trim it a little bit, just for anybody that does do these swaps. I'll get down here with some light. So it's close. It does miss, but when the engine rocks a little bit with the motor mounts, because these aren't solid motor mounts, it may hit. So I'm just going to trim the very end of that off and make that so it doesn't, you can't come into contact. So that's that. And we got the lines out. I got to wait until I have help anyways, so I can get that off without dumping oil over myself, because it's through the frame, and I can't reach around this whole thing all in one shot. So, but we did get the tank up in here and all that, new straps, it's all hooked up. As you can see, all that's in there now. The lines, the breather. I just gotta hook up the relay and to the Holly and to the tank, and then we're set on that. I gotta put some fuel in it, make sure we don't have any leaks. Knock on wood, I guess. But I went ahead. We got the 46RE in this, so I had to do a little fandangling with the original wiring in this car and stuff. I got a mess going on here. I'm stepping on tools. So, like I said, I've got everything working for the most part. The big thing is now that I've got the 46RE plug in it. Let's see if I can. So now the reverse switch comes on, and we should now have reverse lights, which we do. So this car, now the wipers work and stuff like that, and also mounted up some horns, because we were missing some horns. So I got to wire the horns in. I put ultra loud horns in this. The trigger wires are already ran up there. I just got to hook the relay up, and we'll have horn. And with the washers and the turn signals and everything now working, as you can see, we got left and right. Lights come on with the dash. So we got all that working. And like I said, now we have our reverse. And now with the rocking box, we got second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and then torque converter lockout, which I have to hook a relay up to the pedal to disable the torque converter when we step on the brakes. But that is minimal. And now that's kind of where we're at, and for what we have for parts. So hope you guys enjoyed this. It's a little scattered and stuff like that, only because, like I said, if I had somebody to film, I could do a lot of like action shots and stuff, which I would like to do. But I mean, it is what it is. I still wanted to show you guys what's up with this thing. We're waiting on parts. Like I said, I got to get the carpet in and get this center console trimmed up a little bit so it fits some better, and get some brackets. And then I have to address where I'm going to put that shift box. I'm not happy that we have this controller, because it makes it basically full manual. You got to put it in gear, and then you got to shift with that. I would at least like to come up with some sort of universal paddle shifter or something. That way he doesn't have to reach down. It kind of sucks, to be honest with you. I would lose my mind with this. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now, other than doing some wiring and getting the carpet in. So in the next... All right, so it was close to being the end of the video, but some more parts showed up the next day, so I kept going. We did get the carpet in, and I got the other seat mounted and got a lot of this squared up. So one of the things we got to address is this shifter. It got cut and hacked here, as you can see. Well, I went over to the salvage yard and got this Jeep shifter, which I'm going to cut part of this off and measure my length here, and we're going to add that to this, and then we're going to have our T shifter. Right now it pushes down on this now, so it'll shift, but this is cut down a little short. I want to bring it up to like right about here, so it's not a big giant reach, and I got to get that out and start getting this cut and welded. The carpet made this thing 1,000 times better, and we got a new throttle pedal. Everything's all mounted in. We're going to be figuring out throttle cable here pretty soon, as we did get the Fast EFI throttle body, except we ran into a couple issues. It hits the EGR right there, so we have to get a spacer for it, unfortunately, before we can figure out this throttle cable and kick down, and then that'll be on its way. So we're real close to getting this thing started. As soon as we get that stuff, I got the wideband in, and I still have to trim that oil filler, or the oil filter deal, just a little bit off the end there, and then get that in with the gasket, as I got the gasket from the dealer. The tank's all in. I think I was saying earlier in the video, it's been a couple days since I started making this video, but as you can see, much better in here. This car was a manual car, so we had to do some dangling with the carpet. Unfortunately, we had to get a manual carpet, and then I had to get it around the automatic shifter that somebody put in at some point in time. And yes, this is a 70s Challenger center console, but it's better than the Audi one that was in here. So let me get the shifter out and get it on the table and see what we can do with this thing here. Be right back. Okay, so I TIG welded the shifter all together. I'm still playing what I want to do with this rocker box or rocket box or whatever the hell it is. But got this in there. Pretty much looks period correct. Normally there's a shift gate in here, but I may put this rock box in here, or the shifter anyways. But we're working good now. So now we can actually have a shifter. So we're off to a good start. And so now I'm gonna finish trimming up and getting the center console fit a little better, and work on that oil filter pedestal. So let me get to it and we'll be right back. Okay, we're trying out a new camera here. I don't have a mic plug for this one, so hopefully the audio is okay. But got a lot more done in this car. It's been a span over a month here. Just more and more things keep happening and are needed to be replaced from what was going on before. But we've got everything in the interior back in and working and stuff like that. So what happened, well, besides that, got the carpet in. It's a little dirty right now. Got the back in, new rear deck lid, new dash pad, and stuff like that. So anyway, so what happened is, I keep jumping ahead here. So finished up some other things with the car, got the throttle body on with the spacer, drilled and tapped it with a line for the headlights, so the vacuum actuators work, and used a Subaru WRX throttle cable. Was just the right length to get that all done and stuff like that. So waiting on a modified driver for the alternator. So we're not charging right now. Come to find out, we needed a modified driver for the back of the alternator along with the regulator. So there's that. And I made a intake, actual cold air intake for this car. I've got some pictures. I wasn't able to film. It's been like 100 degrees here every day and all that stuff. So it's been crappy. Anyways, I will disclose that it has been running. Had some issues with the ECU, trying to figure out air temperature sensor error, and the coolant temperature is airing out and then coming back. It's kind of weird. But thought there were a few things that could have been saved from the original build, but come to find out that everything that has been done on this thing has been absolute shit. And part of it was the tranny lines. So I just had to replace all the tranny lines because, like I said, I did get it running, and then I thought, yeah, the tranny lines are probably fine. No, they flared those and used plumbing parts on them as well. So I pulled it in, pulled it out, and spewed all of the transmission fluid on the ground. Well, not all of it, but quite a bit. So took care of that, and then as I was doing that, took the tranny fluid and saw that it was like really dark, bad looking. So did transmission service on it as well, you know, because it's never ending at this point. And then the brand new starter that was in here, apparently, I don't know, they said the starter was brand new, but this thing looks like it's been on the bottom of the ocean. So I'm putting a brand new starter in it right now because I got it outside last night and then it stalled, and then I couldn't restart the car. It just click, 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 click. So yeah, this is how this is going so far. And I know it's been a while since we did the last video on this, but I was trying to get this all into one, and with weight on parts and this and that, and it's been a disaster. So hopefully we have it running here shortly. But like I said, on top of the lines I got in here, I had to redo all the shift linkage and everything else that they did because it was not going into gear properly. Go figure. The whole exhaust has got to be redone too. It's terrible. And yeah, so this has turned into way more of a project than I thought it was going to. And I'm sorry I got to film a lot of stuff, but let me get this starter in, and for this video we'll at least get, hopefully, a video of this thing at least starting. I haven't put up any shorts, but on our Facebook page I put up a couple. But let me finish getting the starter bolted in, wires hooked up, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this fixes one of the last issues on the thing, other than buttoning some stuff up now. And yeah, so I'll be right back with this starter bolted in. All right, I got the starter in. Let's hook this power up, and hopefully it works. Yeah, hopefully, the way everything's been going on this. And I have the ECU unhooked, so it's not going to start. But we're going to see if we go click, 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 or grind, or whatever else. I don't think it was a special starter. I just got one for like a 2000 Dodge Ram. So we got power now. I'm pretty sure I got the ECU unhooked. Yeah, I do. So, key. Oh, look at that. So let me get this ECU hooked back up, and we'll get this thing fired, because now we're good. Thank goodness I'm at wit's end with this thing. It's just one thing after another that you wouldn't think had to be done for a car that just couldn't get running but was complete. All right, let me get this ECU hooked up, and I'm gonna start to address, because there are two different air temperature sensors for the Dodge. I saw based on looking them up on the parts store. So let me get this ECU plugged in, funnel out of here, and door open, and we will see. We'll get this thing turned over, I hope, and address this air temperature sensor. All right, like I said, I'd be back, and we'd try and get this thing started. So we figured out the issue with the sensors. They're the wrong sensors. I'm just gonna have him order a GM air temperature sensor. Well, I got one on the way, and we'll probably switch over to Holley coolant temperature sensor, as these keep low airing out. The coolant temperature sensor low airs out when it's cold, but it warms up as soon as I start the car and get some temperature in it, which is kind of strange, but we're not going to deal with that. We're going to get a sensor in there that works, because it's not going to do any good on a cold start if it's just low air. But let's see, we should have everything hooked up now, and let's see what we got here. Yeah, so there we go. But like I said, no coolant temperature or air temp, so and we're running. It's just hunting to find its idle now. See what happens. I mean, we even got some static, so we don't get yelled at here. This thing sounds good though. Well, let's see. We'll put it in reverse, and hopefully we don't shoot out of here. Got a load on the car. We are moving. Let's go forward. We're moving. So, yeah, there we go. We're running, other than fighting with some sensors and stuff. And yeah, so it's better than we were. So this car got here, I didn't think it was ever going to run with most of the disaster here. But anyways, like I was saying, we're going to have a giveaway going on with Castrol Super Clean in the next few videos here. We'll get more into details on that. But for this one, we should be buttoning some stuff up in the next video. And then hopefully everything permitting and we don't find anything else issues wrong with it going down the road, and then hopefully we don't have any issues going down the road. So when that driver comes in, we'll film that. I will try to get somebody to help me film me putting the driver in the alternator, because anybody that's going to come across this stuff is going to have the same issue too. And switching over to the Holley sensor or GM sensor, whatever, I'm going to order them later tonight and get this done. So like I said, we're all buttoned up for the most part. The new starter is awesome compared to the other one that left me stranded in the rain with it last night. And like I said, a little bit of butting up and then making a new lock bracket for that stupid rocker box shifter that ultimately I didn't go crazy putting it in because I don't like it. I'm pretty sure Joe's not gonna like it, and we're gonna be switching over to a different module. So awesome. Thanks, like and subscribe. I know you hate to hear it, but help us out here, and we'll keep making videos. Thanks. Peace out.